These are 5 credit card and money lessons that have completely changed my life by taking me from someone who was unhappy, making an average salary at a job I didn't like, to someone who is now self-employed, making 6 figures and starting to travel using the millions of credit card points that I've earned. So hopefully this can be valuable for anyone out there looking for tips about credit cards and money. Okay, now lesson number 1 is to value credit card points highly and recognize opportunity cost. And this lesson, of course, is more credit card specific, but it leads to some other lessons later on in this video. Now, we talk a lot about credit cards here on this channel, and the main reason for that is because of the role that they've played in my life as not only a fun hobby, but also as an actual financial tool that I've used to save a lot of money on travel. And I think that travel is such a good thing to spend money on because you can't really put a price on the memories you make. But of course, airlines and hotels can put a price on what it'll cost to get and stay wherever you're going. So when I was on a limited budget right after graduating from college, I knew that if I wanted to actually save money from my paycheck every month while still paying for all my regular expenses on top of travel costs, I was gonna have to get creative. And naturally, I came across the world of credit card points because I was looking to increase my credit score at the same time. Now, I had a basic student credit card for my last 2 years of college, so I already had a nice history of on-time payments on my credit report, and my credit score was pretty decent. So when I wanted to get my first real credit card that actually earned points, I was able to easily get approved for the original Chase Freedom card back in 2018. This card earned Chase Ultimate Rewards points, and these Chase points were a great place to start because they could be redeemed for travel pretty easily by either redeeming them through the Chase travel portal or by transferring those points out to different partner programs through other Chase cards that I plan to get next, like the Sapphire Preferred. So once I saved up a bunch of points, I was able to start redeeming them for travel at only a fraction of the cost that I would have had to pay if I used cash. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions that I see people talk about on TikTok and Instagram is that someone will say they booked a flight for only $5.60 because they were able to use 70,000 credit card points instead of having to pay $1,000. But really, that's not painting the full picture because those 70,000 points have a wide range of values depending on how you redeem them. So you need to think about what else you could use them for. So when we look at something like Chase Ultimate Rewards points, those actually have a cash value of 1 cent per point. So 70,000 Chase points is worth $700 of cash. So yes, you're getting a discount if you're using $700 worth of points plus $560 in fees to book a $1,000 flight. But to decide if that deal's worth it, we have to consider the other potential opportunity costs of possibly redeeming those points in better ways. Now, opportunity cost can be defined as the loss of potential gain from other alternatives when one alternative is chosen. So in this case, 70,000 points got you $1,000 in value for a flight. But what if those same 70,000 points could get you a $3,000 business class ticket, because then your opportunity cost would be $2,000 or $3,000 of alternative value minus the $1,000 of value that you settled for. And this is a real thing with credit card points because we can earn all these points, but then it's really up to us to decide whether we want to redeem them for cash back at a low 1 cent per point value, or we can redeem them for a decent travel redemption like 70,000 points for a $1,000 flight in this example, which would value those points at around 1.4 cents per point. Or maybe if we just held onto those points until the right time, we can find a better redemption where 70,000 points gets us a $3,000 flight, which would value those points at 4.2 cents per point. The choice is yours, and I've got videos here on my channel going over examples of point redemptions, and I'm gonna keep posting more and more of these videos to show you how to use points to travel for less, so make sure you go ahead and subscribe down below. But always value points very highly and think about opportunity cost before you redeem them, because those points can save you a lot of money on travel when they're used the right way. Now, the second lesson I have here is one of the biggest secrets behind so many entrepreneurs you see traveling in style in first and business class flights on social media. And that lesson is that business expenses are a credit card cheat code. So let me explain what I mean. Now, I'm in kind of both a good and a bad spot with YouTube and this whole social media business that I run full time. So I'm in a good spot because my expenses are very low and my profit margins are very high, since my only real expenses are for a video editor and a few subscriptions. But the bad thing is that I don't have that much business spending to put on my credit cards to earn as many points as someone out there that's maybe running an e-commerce store who buys a lot of inventory and advertising. Now, I have a friend who helps to consult businesses on their credit card optimization strategy, and he's helped out businesses with literally hundreds of thousands or even up to millions of dollars in ad spend every year. And that much spending for a business not only helps to drive the top line revenue and profits back to the entrepreneur, but it also represents an opportunity for massive credit card earnings and travel savings if you're doing it the right way. So for example, the Amex Business Gold Card earns 4x points per dollar on up to $150,000 in spending in your 2 highest areas of spending, and one of those categories can be advertising. So hypothetically, if you max that out and spent $150,000 on ads in 1 calendar year, that would earn you 600,000 Amex points, which is worth at a minimum $6,000 at 1 cent per point. Or again, if you look at the opportunity cost of redeeming those points at higher values like we just talked about, that could stretch an into maybe 4 cents per point or more for those cool international business class flights, and that would make those same 600,000 points worth $24,000 in travel, all for just spending normal money to grow your business while using the right credit card. Now that's just one small piece of a business credit card strategy, so if you guys want to see me talk more about this, then let me know down in the comments below. And even though I don't really earn that many points from my business spending right now, I do still have referral links and affiliate links that pay me in points and commissions. So as always, just a reminder that I'm gonna have those links down below that you can use if you want to learn more about the best current offers on credit cards going on right now. And those links are completely free to you, but they also directly help to support this channel and the content that I'm uploading. So thank you to anyone out there that uses those links. Now next, for lesson number 3 in this video, this is one of my favorite quotes that I think about every day in both business with this YouTube channel and also any other financial goals that I have. And that lesson is, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. So this is a lesson I learned from reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. And what many of us do is we set these big goals that we're looking to achieve, like maybe going on a week-long dream vacation to a luxury resort while flying completely first class using credit card points. Or maybe we want to start a business that reaches 7 figures and gives us more freedom. And even though I think it's great to set goals and to dream big, the reality is that no one ever achieves their goals without having the right systems in place first. So what James says in this book is, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And he defines goals as your desired outcome and your system as the collection of daily habits that'll get you there. So we want to think about maybe a long-term goal like a 750 credit score, going on a dream vacation with credit card points, or maybe early retirement. And then we kind of want to work backwards and create systems and good habits in the short term that's going to allow us to get there. So for me, this lesson kind of relates back to this YouTube channel that I started a little over 2 years ago, originally as a side hustle, but pretty quickly I realized that I loved creating content and I could actually make some decent money from it. So I knew that my goal was to take this whole YouTube thing full time and grow it to be a profitable personal brand to replace my boring job that I didn't enjoy. Now, if I just set that goal and then blindly worked hard and tried to grind my way to achieve that, well, maybe I would get there eventually, or maybe I wouldn't. But if I was not successful at first, then I would probably tell myself that I didn't work hard enough, or I should have grinded more, and that would probably cause me to put in more time and more effort, which might eventually burn me out or force me to give up on my goal. Now, I've tried to start plenty of side hustles in the past where I had these big goals right from the start, but they all failed because I wasn't really passionate about those businesses on a daily basis, and I was also trying to work harder and not smarter. But with this YouTube channel, I knew that if I wanted to make enough money to quit my job and still get ahead financially, I had to create consistent, valuable content that people actually wanted to watch. And to create that consistent, valuable content, that meant that I had to schedule a few hours every single day for doing deep work outside of my normal job to script, film, edit, and research. I also had to get organized, structure my day, and avoid distractions. That way I could stay on top of my YouTube stuff while still completing work at my full-time job and managing my health as well. So every day I would get into the routine of waking up at 5:30 to go to the gym before work. I'd create lists of what had to get done and then block out my schedule to avoid distractions and focus on my channel. Slowly over time, those systems that I built started to show results and help lead to this compounding effect of more results. And it kind of led to this whole feedback loop where I started to see what was working, so I doubled down on that and then stayed committed to my daily habits. And eventually that led me to achieving my long-term goal of going full-time on YouTube in December 2021. Now, I think the same exact thing is true with credit cards and money, because we can do things like set monthly reminders to pay off credit cards to increase our credit scores. We can budget and track our spending every week or every month, or we can take action to start a side hustle or get a promotion at work that can increase our income. Now, lesson number 4 next here kind of goes along with valuing credit card points very highly, and that lesson is to value your time at an extremely high rate. So I have no problem being open and transparent about my career and my previous salaries here on this channel. So before I quit my job, I was making about $70,000 a year in my 4th year out of college, and that might sound good to some people or maybe below average to others depending on where you live. But here in the Philadelphia area where I am, it's pretty average, but probably not a great salary that's gonna put me very much ahead financially. Now, if we break that down into 52 weeks per year, that's about $1,346 per week, which then becomes $33.65 per hour based on a 40-hour work week. And again, compared to what some people make with minimum wage in the state of Pennsylvania being just $7.25 per hour, my salary was okay. But the more I started to read and the more I started to see the abundance of opportunities out there, I really thought that my time could be spent in much more productive ways that could pay me a lot higher and ultimately help me to get ahead much faster. Now, another book that really helped to drive this point home for me is called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. And for anyone who's not familiar with Naval, I highly recommend you go look him up after watching this video, because he's this super interesting entrepreneur and investor. And he talks about stuff like wealth and happiness, but he talks about it and he breaks it down in such a simple way that's kind of timeless and easy to understand. The book is actually just a collection collection of Naval's best tweets, podcast interviews, and other words he said that someone else put together, but it really makes you think about wealth and happiness in a completely different way. And one of the topics in this book is Naval talking about how he values his time at an extremely high rate and then tries to spend money to save time at that rate. So for example, he said that no one is going to value you more than you, and back when he was getting started, he set his aspirational hourly rate at $5,000 per hour, which is a crazy high number that actually equates to a salary of over $10 million per year. And what he would try to do is if he could pay someone to do something that he needed done that was less than his hourly rate, he would spend the money because then that would free up his time because he valued it so highly. Now, obviously, we can't do this all the time because I know I don't have the money right now to outsource everything, but I try to apply this lesson to my business by hiring for things like a video editor who can not only free up my time, but they also do that job of video editing way better than I could. So let me know down below in the comments what you guys think of the past few uploads that I've uploaded with this new editor. Now, as far as credit card points and miles, I think this also really applies to something like redeeming points for a business class flight. And that's because when I'm traveling, long flights in economy class can be very uncomfortable and might feel like a waste of time if I can't get any work done on that flight. So because I'm valuing my time very highly, a flight that's many hours long represents an opportunity to get work done. And by not doing work by sitting in a bad seat, that might actually be costing me money. But paying $1,000 or $2,000 just for a business class seat still feels expensive no matter how you look at it. So that's where points and miles come into play to help me fly business class and get work done so I'm not wasting time. But I only have to pay a fraction of the cost by using points and miles. And by the way, I've got plenty of videos with actual examples of redeeming both Chase and Amex points for business and first class flights. So I'll link those videos down below if you want to learn how to do this too. But then finally, when it comes to saving money, this lesson number 5 is important to understand. And that's the fact that a penny saved is really 2 pennies earned. So everyone's heard that famous quote that was inspired by things that Ben Franklin said, which is that a penny saved is a penny earned. But with the way that income works for most people, that's actually not the case when we factor in our largest expense of taxes and a few other things. Now, something like federal income tax works in a progressive way, which means that as your income increases and you go up into higher tax brackets, each additional dollar of income is taxed at a higher rate than your first dollars of income. And just as a simple example to show you with this calculator, if my income was $100,000, then I would owe $14,768 in federal income tax, and that puts my effective tax rate at about 14.77% when we divide that by my income. But at that level, I would be in the 22% marginal tax bracket, and that means that each additional dollar is taxed at 22%, and if my income keeps going up, then so does my marginal tax rate, like we could see in this chart of how people with higher incomes are taxed at higher rates. Now, when we also throw in local and state taxes, which can be super high if maybe you're living in somewhere like New York City or San Francisco, each additional dollar gets taxed more and more until eventually some people it gets close to 40 to 50%, and then you can throw in other taxes like maybe property tax and other things like that. So just to keep things simple, let's overestimate and say you're taxed at a total 50% rate for each additional dollar you earn. And again, this is an overestimate just to make a point here because I'd rather overestimate taxes and then owe less than I think. And let's also say that I decide I'm gonna cook dinner at home instead of going out tonight. So I'll save 50 bucks if normally I'd spend $100 at a restaurant, but I only had to pay $50 at the grocery store. So that $50 that I'd save is just $50 back in my pocket. And obviously I don't owe taxes on that for just saving money. But in order to earn that same $50 at our 50% tax rate, we would have to earn an extra $100. So after taxes, what we're left with is the same 50 bucks. So basically saving $50 here in this example is equal to earning an extra $100 at a 50% tax rate, or like I said before, a penny saved is really 2 pennies earned. And the point I want to make here is not that taxes can be expensive, but that it's tax-free to save money. So that's usually the best place to start if you want to get better with budgeting because we're not being taxed on being smart shoppers and smart savers. Now, we can only cut back on expenses so much, whereas our ability to earn more money is unlimited. So we definitely want to focus most of our time and energy on increasing our income, but saving money is the best place to start once you get a good budgeting system in place. And again, it all starts with getting the right systems in place today in the short term to save more. Now, budgeting and managing my money was actually something that I had a really hard time with a few years ago because I had no idea what kind of budget I should use. So I just went ahead and created my own. And I talked about how I use that budgeting template to save over 60% of my income every single month in this video over here that you should go ahead and check out next. And I also made that same budget available completely for free as a download. So again, go ahead and watch that video. But as always, thank you so much for watching here, and I'll see you in the next one.